So hey Lawn Care Nation, it's mid-February 2024 and that means a new lawn care season is almost upon us. And this is the time that I send out my first communications to my existing client base to reconfirm that they are going to be using my services again for this upcoming lawn care season. So I thought I'd take the time to make this video and share with you guys how I communicate with my clients, the tools I use to do it, and what I exactly say in that communication. So previously in my lawn care business, I used to actually get on the phone and phone each and every client and see if they would like to continue services for the upcoming season. And it was just super time consuming. It was very tedious to do and it was just very difficult. Clients would work, some clients would be out, and you wouldn't get the call. You'd have to wait for clients to return calls and try phoning them again and all that sort of stuff, and it was a real pain to sort of try to manage that sort of a system. So about 10 years ago, I decided to kind of change things up and basically send a mass email to all of my clients all at once and put the onus on them for them to call me and cancel services before the start of the new season, and basically would say that all of your services from last year are going to continue automatically this year, and you have until such and such a date to cancel services if there's any changes to how you want to operate, whether you want to cancel service or whether you want to add services or change services or whatever the case may be. So let me go through the actual email that I send clients, and you can see what I actually send. So I use a specific tool that we'll get into in a little bit called MailChimp. You can sign up for an account for free. It's a perfect tool to use, and we'll get into why I like using MailChimp. But in the email that I send, basically, I start off at the top, and MailChimp is nice because it allows you to put different graphical elements into your email to make it just a little bit nicer looking. But basically I start off at the top of the header with my company logo. I've got my phone number, and just the main title is "It's That Time of Year Again," and then I put a subtitle of Spring 2024. Now this is just a template that I created years ago, and every year I just go into it and I change the dates and tweak little bits about it, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So basically the first paragraph says, "Soon the grass will start growing and it will be time to start mowing. A reminder that service for regular mowing clients and or fertilizing clients from last season will automatically start up again this year. The first service can be expected anytime in the month of March, depending on weather and conditions." So I put that in because obviously, things change. Traditionally, when I first started my business, it was like April 1st was those first sort of cuts. The last probably 8 years or so, it's gotten sooner to March, mid-March, having clients contact me saying, "When are you coming to start mowing?" and stuff. Please note that for your convenience, all of the services that we provided for you last season will be repeated again this season. And then in bold underneath that, I put, "Please inform us in advance if there are any changes or cancellations to your service prior to March 1st, 2024. So I usually send this out the first week of February. So as soon as February hits, I send out this email, and basically gives clients a month to respond to the email and get a response to me before that March 1st deadline if they're want to change services or add services or whatever the case may be. So under that, I also put a little paragraph saying, "Also, please feel free to request a quote at any time for any of our other spring services such as moss control, fertilizing packages, power raking, aerating, overseeding, top dressing, and lawn repair, etc. Please visit our website for a complete list of current services offered. And as always, thank you for your business." Now, traditionally, this is where I kind of left it there, finished off the email, and that was it, and would send it through. What I found last year, there was some changes, and I think it was because of the pandemic and supply chain issues and stuff like that. And one of the issues I ran into was after I sent this email out, I'll also at this time, if I am making changes to pricing and stuff, I will mention it in this email if prices are going up across the board, that sort of thing. So last year, I had gotten a price list from my local fertilizer supplier in February. All the prices were within the previous sort of year's pricing. So I sent out this email as I have read it to you. All the customers confirmed services and all that sort of stuff. And then when I went the first week of March to go pick up an order of fertilizer, they informed me that the prices had changed within that month. The only problem is they didn't email me any of that information. So I had already confirmed with clients that they wanted to continue services and all that sort of stuff, and basically had to eat the extra cost of fertilizer last year. And that was the first time that company had ever done that, had ever changed the pricing within the year. Usually they'll give you a price list at the beginning of spring, and it's that price for the entire season. So that was an interesting chain of events last year. So for this year, just in case, I added a service pricing paragraph that says, please note, while we strive to keep pricing the same year after year, this is not always possible and sometimes even out of our control. The past few years post-pandemic have proven especially difficult, with the volatility in markets affecting everything from fuel prices, insurance, and material costs like soil and fertilizer. These costs can even fluctuate throughout the season. There's that kind of note towards what happened last year, making it difficult when clients are quoted prices at the start of the season. And then I give them that example. For example, February 23, we were quoted a cost for fertilizer before the start of the season, and then that increased in the next month after we had already quoted clients for the year. We only learned about the pricing changes when we went to pick up our order of fertilizer. We ended up having to absorb those extra costs for the entire year with every fertilizer application. As such, some clients may notice a nominal increase in service fees for mowing or product applications if applicable. So that's just kind of covering my rear end going forward, just in case mid-season something happens. Based on pricing and everything so far, everything, is fine for this season, but that's just in case, because again, last year, that was the first time in 18 seasons that had ever happened to me, where the supplier changed prices sort of mid-season after I had already quoted clients. So I added that in this year. The other thing I decided to add in this year was a terms of service reminder. So this is what I add onto my original quote sheet. When customers are directed to my website, they fill in a request for a free quote. I email them back and I send them a written estimate over email. And that way I've got, the time to think about their quote. I can have it in writing, and I can also have that list of terms of service underneath that they can look at and see, the service that I offer and, exactly what their terms are. And they have to reply to me if they want me to, start service, indicating that yes, to go ahead. And basically that is also their acceptance of all those terms of service. What I found though, once I started doing that, many years ago, is that over time, some of the clients that initially, hired you maybe 4 or 5 years ago, will forget those terms of service, because the only time they've really seen it is on that original estimate. And, it's listed on my website and all that as well, but they're not typically going back to the website. So, they might forget some of those policies, especially when it comes to summer drought and, when lawns slow down and all that sort of stuff, and they might start calling you to cancel service and stuff like that. So this year I decided to put those terms of service as a reminder on this initial email as well at the beginning of the season, so that customers are getting that reminder every season of those terms of service. So for me, my terms of service are your service price is based on a weekly cut in the spring and fall, then bi-weekly in the summer months at our discretion if the lawn's growth slows down. The service includes mowing, trimming, and blowing off any grass clippings from your driveway, patio, and sidewalks. Grass clippings are put in your green organics bin for city pickup on garbage day. All services are billed once per month to your credit card, Visa, or MasterCard. Please note that for us to be able to quote a set mowing price that does not fluctuate throughout the year, bi-weekly mowing is the minimum service level required in July and August to balance out the extra time it takes to mow during heavy growth periods in the spring and fall. So obviously in the spring, we get what I call hell month, where we get a lot of rain, lawns start growing like crazy, 6 inches or so. I'm bagging all of my properties. It takes a lot longer. I'm not charging any extra for that, and I'm counting on the summertime that service is going to continue every 2 weeks, even if lawns, don't exactly need a cut, but that balances out that extra work in the spring. And a lot of customers will start to, try to cancel services because their lawn doesn't look like it needs a cut, and they forget that in the spring there was a lot of extra work that was done to get those lawns mowed that they weren't paying any extra for. So that's why I put that note in there. And then also I put in, please ensure all animal waste is picked up prior to your regularly scheduled mowing day to avoid a $15 minimum animal waste surcharge. Also, please ensure that any items such as garden hoses, kids' toys, etc. are all off the lawn as well. So just a, kind of a basic reminder there. The animal waste one especially, that they know they're going to get charged if there's animal waste there. Also, please note, we do not move trampolines. It is the property owner's responsibility to move trampolines or kids' play structures, furniture, hoses, etc., anything else if needed. Otherwise, they will be mowed around. This is something you can do at your own discretion. For me, I stopped moving trampolines because, again, with all the rain that we get here, lawns are really soft. You put an item like a trampoline on a lawn with kids jumping on it, it starts to sink into the soil, and when you go to move it by yourself, it can be really difficult. And in the past, I've thrown out my back trying to move trampolines and stuff, so it, for me, doesn't work. If a customer puts a trampoline on the lawn and they want it mowed around, they're gonna have to move it, and I'll typically mow the entire lawn except for the area around the trampoline. Then the next week, when they move that trampoline, then that spot's getting mowed, and that other spot underneath the trampoline gets left for that next week, and the entire lawn gets mowed around. But basically that's how I found it works. I start to implement this because I had clients where, the trampoline would be added, and then summertime would start to hit, and they'd put one of those like temporary swimming pools up, and then there'd be like a badminton net put up in the middle of the lawn, and it was like a gauntlet of things. And then another thing that I started to add to those terms of services as well is the mentioning leaves, because in the springtime you're typically, I would go and mow the lawn. One of the things I would do is I would always forget to look at the trees and mention it to people that, hey, you got a bunch of trees here, when those leaves fall, it's going to cost extra in the fall when I come to mow, and the leaves need to be picked up and cleaned up first. And I found myself in some situations where I forgot to mention that. It wasn't talked about. I'd show up to the client's house, leaves were on the lawn in the fall, and then I go to mow, and I can't mow without cleaning up the leaves. I can't get a hold of the customer because they're at work. So what do? It's a wasted trip if you don't. And it was just this thing, right? So I've always added that in the terms of service now, so I know that I'm covered. So basically it says all lawns with leaves in the fall will have a minimum $15 leaf cleanup surcharge. Now remember, I do a lot of really tiny lawns, so that's why I say as a minimum, so they know it's a starting price. With that added each week to offset the additional time required to mow. This leaf cleanup surcharge may be more at our discretion for lawns that are larger, corner lots, or lawns that have substantially more leaves than average lawns. So basically it's saying leaf cleanup start at $15 per week, based on my discretion, right? So I'm the one that decides the price, but it's $15 and up depending on your lawn. And people get into the rhythm and they start to know that, hey, if it's $15, it's weekly added to your lawn mowing price. It includes, cleaning up the leaves, and I'm doing it over time rather than one big leaf cleanup, and it works out. And again, depending on the property size and if it's corner lot and depend on the amount of trees and all that sort of stuff, it can change. And then another thing I started to add is a cancellation policy. And so I say, due to seasonality of lawn care and the fact that the vast majority of calls come in the spring, together with a limited availability on the schedule, there'll be a $120 early cancellation fee charged for clients who cancel service prior to October 31st. No cancellation fees will be charged for clients who cancel in the off season or for clients who put their properties for sale mid-season, as long as the property is sold and we are servicing the property up until the transfer date. So this is another thing I did to discourage those calls that come in the spring that people want me to deal with hell month, that wet, heavy growth, the 6 inches a week, all that sort of stuff. But then as soon as the summer comes along and things slow down, they're canceling service altogether. And what happens is, because the vast majority of lawn mowing clients are calling in the spring, and once my schedule's full, I'm turning down clients. You'd pick up a client expecting that you're going to mow their lawn all season, and then they cancel starting in the summer. That could result in that spot on the schedule being empty until the very next season, potentially, because the calls are much more limited the rest of the season for lawn mowing. So I started to put that cancellation policy more to discourage those people that are calling just in their mind, thinking that all they want is a temporary lawn service for a few months and that's it. Because for me, that's not what I'm interested in, and I want long-term clients all season long, year after year. So I put that in for that. I do have some ways that they can cancel with no charge, of course, if they cancel in the off season. So between October, the end of October, and basically March, then there's no fee. And also for clients, if they're moving, I know that most people are moving in the spring, and summer is sort of the season for home sales and moving and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to punish existing clients for that. If they have to move, they have to move. And I'm not going to make a client who may have been a long-term client for years have to find another lawn service because they're going to move midway through the season, sort of thing, right? So I will continue to mow, and I won't charge them any cancellation policy as long as I'm mowing all the way up till the date that new owner takes possession of the property. So I make sure that I have that in there as well. And then, as another sort of a caveat, another little note there, I say, please note, all quoted prices are subject to an additional $2 fuel surcharge per visit or service at our discretion when fuel prices are above $2 per liter on the service day. Now, I'm in Canada, so fuel is sold by the liter. And again, it's one of those things, it's always fluctuating, it's out of my control. You quote clients based on mowing their lawn and all that stuff on a weekly basis, and you can't predict what those fuel prices are going to be. There's, you hear all the time about refineries shutting down for maintenance and all this sort of stuff, and that causes fuel to go up. Some war somewhere across the world happens, and then fuel prices shoot up. There's all this stuff that can happen that's out of your control that affects basically your costs for providing that service, mowing lawns. I keep that note in there just in case. Finally, the last thing that I mentioned there is failure to cancel service in advance of the above mentioned timeline will also indicate acceptance to the terms of service listed above. So basically, what this is saying is, you have that timeline I've given above of please inform us in advance of any changes or cancellations to your service prior to March 1st, 2024, where I'm giving them a whole month to think about this, whether they want to renew service and all that sort of stuff. And basically, with all of the additions that I've added about the notes on service pricing and how it can fluctuate with certain things like fertilizers and stuff like that, depending on those costs that it costs me throughout the year for that stuff, as well as all of the terms of service that I've added in there, cancellation policies, all that sort of stuff. So this is basically saying that, hey, you not canceling your service basically, is saying that you want me to continue service for this year, plus it's you accepting all of those terms of service that I've listed in this email. So how do you keep track of that? How do you know? How can you prove? And that's where the tools come in place, and that tool specifically is MailChimp that I talked about previously. It's an email marketing type tool. So basically, MailChimp allows you to basically add all your clients to a group. You can then create these sort of visually appealing emails and send them out. But the key here with MailChimp is that they have a bunch of analytics. So basically what this allows you to do is it allows you to track all of those sent emails. It'll keep track of how many sends were successful, how many emails got bounced back. So if people have changed their email address, maybe they've canceled internet service providers and they're no longer using that, it'll show you those bounced emails, so you can then get on the phone and contact them to get their updated information. It allows you to see how many times they've opened the email, what time they opened the email, what day they opened the email, so you can know that they've read the email. That you can see literally how many times each client has opened the email. You can see what country they're in when they open the email. Just a whole host of tools. It tracks all of the links that you may have. If you have links to your website, YouTube channel, all that sort of stuff, it'll tell you which clients clicked on those links, which links they clicked, all that sort of stuff. So just a really comprehensive tool to be able to track and to prove that, hey, those clients saw that email, they read through it, and they're accepting those terms because they haven't canceled the policy beforehand. So let me know in the comments below if you use MailChimp in your lawn care business, and if you've created emails like this and crafted them with your cancellation policies and all of your other communication as well. So that's it for this one, guys. Here's to wishing you guys all overwhelming success and freedom in your lawn care business. Bye for now.